I'll teach you everything you need to know about properties in 5 minutes. A property is a value that affects the appearance or behavior of an object in Roblox. This sounds a little bit confusing, but it's really simple. When you have nothing selected, as I do right now, the properties window is blank. But pretty much every object in Roblox has properties, but you have to select it to see it. So just click on this part, for example. And now we can see all the properties that it has. You can even scroll down because there are a lot. Even the services, like if we were to click on workspace, it has properties. Many objects and services have properties in Roblox. I'm going to go over some of the most common properties for parts. First, let's look at brick color. This is just a way to change the color. As you can see, I'm hovering over it. It won't actually change it until I click on something like artichoke. These are built into Roblox, pre-made colors like artichoke. But another way to change the color is through the color property. This is brick color and this is color. The color takes in an RGB value. If you don't know what that is, that's just how much red, how much green, and how much blue is in the color. For example, if we put it all the way up to here, it has a lot of red, but not much green or blue. And that's why it looks red. We can make it brighter and darker over here, or we can just select some of these over here. But yeah, you can drag this little thing anywhere you want to get any color you desire. The material property, it's just a list of different materials and you can pick them out and they're pretty cool if you ask me. Like, let's take a look at cracked lava. Ooh, that actually looks nice. Look at that detail. Another common property is transparency. It takes in a number 0 to 1, 0 being completely not transparent. As you see right now, you cannot see through the part. But if you make it 1, it becomes completely transparent. You can't see it at all. It also has this slider that you can slide to any decimal value in between those two. Like if you want it 50% transparent, just leave it at 0.5 and now it's semi-transparent. The locked property matters a lot when you're dealing with game development. If we check that box off, that means that when we click on it or box select it, we cannot affect it. We can only get to that part by clicking it in the Explorer window. Similarly to the base plate, I can't interact with the base plate at all unless I click on it in the Explorer window. That is what the lock property does. And then when we uncheck the box, we can now select it again. We can box select it like usual. The name property just changes what the part is called. We can call it, I don't know, we call it Moses. And it'll change it in the Explorer window because it is the same part we're dealing with here. It's all the same. You can make it whatever name you'd like. That's appropriate. The parent property we talked about last video, like, oh, I moved it over here and that changes the parent. But you could also change it instead of dragging it in the Explorer. You can just click on here and then click server storage and move it over there. And then you can click back to workspace. Just a different way of changing the parent. The size property, it takes in 3 number values. One for the x-axis, so let's change that to 14. You see how it gets longer. One for the y-axis, change it to 11. See how it gets taller. And one for the z-axis, change that to 12. See how it gets thicker. Or that's 21. I'm dyslexic. Position has to deal with the same 3 axes. If we set it to 0, 0, 0, that will take us to the middle of the world or the origin. If we move it 10 over, then you can see it moves it in the x-axis 10. If we move it 20 in the y-axis, you can see it moves it up in the y-axis 20. And let's say we move this in negative 30. It moves it in the other direction. If we do 30, it moves it in one direction if we do regular 30. But if we do negative 30, it moves it in the other direction. Orientation, this is just how rotated it is. Again, let me show you with 15 in the x. It angles it in the x-axis. 30 in the y, rotates it 30 degrees in the y-axis, and then let's do 45 in the z, tilts it 45 in the z-axis. CanCollide just determines if parts can bump into it, basically. I'll show you what I mean. Right now, CanCollide is checked to true, so when the game is played, the part falls down on the base plate because it can collide with it. If we set that equal to false and play the game, the part goes right through it because it cannot collide because we checked it off. Last property we're going to look at is anchored. Right now it is checked off. So when it's not anchored, the part just falls down like normal. And when we set that anchored equal to true, the part will not move. It cannot be pushed. It cannot be pulled. This part is going to stay right here no matter what force is acting upon it. It is anchored in place.